Most people believe something very comforting about the spiritual path. They think the ego slowly disappears as they become more spiritual. Meditation increases, awareness grows, and eventually the ego fades away. But Ramana Maharshi warned that the truth is far more subtle and far more dangerous. He said the ego does not disappear easily. It adapts, it disguises itself. At the beginning of the spiritual path, the ego is easy to recognize. It wants pleasure, recognition, control, security. It wants to be admired. It wants to win. It wants to be someone important. So when a person begins meditation, self-inquiry, or spiritual practice, those rough desires slowly begin to soften. The seeker becomes calmer, less reactive, less obsessed with the outer world. But then something very strange begins to happen. The ego simply changes its costume. Instead of saying, "I want success," it starts saying, "I want liberation." Instead of chasing money or status, it begins chasing enlightenment. Instead of comparing wealth, it compares spiritual understanding. Instead of saying, "I am better than others," it quietly thinks, "I am more awakened than others." And this is where the trap becomes almost invisible. Ramana Maharshi described this as the ego pretending to be the seeker. This is the ego's most refined trick, because now the ego no longer feels like the problem. It feels like the one doing the spiritual practice. The seeker begins to think, "I am progressing. I am becoming more aware. I understand something others don't." But Ramana was extremely clear about this. He said as long as there is someone claiming progress, the ego is still present. True spiritual maturity does not feel dramatic. It does not announce itself. In fact, the closer one comes to truth, the quieter everything becomes. No excitement, no pride, no inner celebration saying, "I've made it." Just simplicity, just ordinary presence. The ego survives through movement, through becoming something better, wiser, more enlightened. But self-inquiry is not about becoming anything. It is about seeing what is already false. This is why Ramana never asked seekers to fight the ego. Fighting only strengthens the one who fights. Instead, he asked a very simple but powerful question. Look directly at the one who claims to be spiritual. Who is meditating? Who wants enlightenment? Who feels stuck on the path? Who believes they are progressing? If you search carefully for that you will not find a solid person. You will only find thoughts appearing and disappearing. A thought says, "I am progressing." Another thought says, "I am failing." Another thought says, "I am close to awakening." But when you look for the one behind those thoughts, there is only silence, nothing solid, nothing permanent. And when this is seen clearly, something very quiet happens. The ego has nowhere left to hide. That is why Ramana Maharshi said self-inquiry is not really a technique. It is an exposure. The ego survives in darkness, but it cannot survive being seen clearly. So if you feel confused or frustrated, or even disappointed on the spiritual path, it may not be a setback. It may be the moment when this final disguise is being challenged. And that is not failure. That is honesty beginning to appear. Because truth does not arrive with fireworks. It arrives with simplicity. Silence is not something you achieve. It is what remains when the effort to become someone finally falls away. And sometimes that quiet realization is closer than we think.